So glad you've decided to join me after the last couple of morning moments. It's my joy to minister to you. And if you want to get the fullness of what I'm saying, you must go back to the first session, perhaps if you haven't watched any of these sessions, mainly because God's created creatures, and that's what I shared in the beginning, the very first episode of Morning Moments. God created creatures, He created an environment, and He had creatures to serve each other, the environment to serve the creatures. And so He created, but everything He created, He designed to serve each other. So I've been reading to you out of John chapter 12 and verse 24 through to 26. And so I'm going to just read it because it's the easiest way to give the context again. In the Message translation, verse 24, listen carefully. Unless a grain of wheat is buried in the ground, dead to the world, it is never any more than a grain of wheat. But if it is buried, it sprouts and reproduces itself many times over. In the same way, anyone who holds on to life just as it is destroys that life. But if you let it go, reckless in your love, you'll have it forever, real and eternal. If any of you wants to serve me, then follow me. Then you'll be where I am, ready to serve at a moment's notice. The Father will honor and reward anyone who serves me. So I say to you, do you want to be honored by the Father? Do you want to be rewarded by the Father? Then Jesus says, if you serve me, being Jesus, then you will be honored and you will be rewarded by the Father. And there are passages of Scripture where someone asks, Jesus is talking to the people around him, and he talks about the fact that you ministered to me when I was in jail, you ministered to me when I was hungry, you ministered to me when I was thirsty. And then they said, but when did we minister all these things to you? When did we serve you with all of these things when you were in jail, when you needed water, when you needed food? And he said, if you do this to anyone, you do it as though you do it to me. In other words, Jesus was making a very clear statement, and he's making it a very clear statement here, that he was called into an environment just as a seed comes into an environment. If he abides alone, if he lives by himself, and if he lives the life that he was called into, the way that the life was, there is no way that Jesus could have made the difference that he did make. And he wasn't called, and he couldn't fulfill his assignment if he just abided alone. But he needed the environment to literally serve him to death. I mean, that sounds a little bit crazy, but it's the absolute truth. He literally needed to be born into an environment to become a seed, and the environment needed to be created to actually be for his death. It needed to cause his death. The environment was created for his death. He was born for the purpose of death, to die. Why? Because when he died, he was not one that abided alone. He became a great harvest, and we are the great harvest. And now he says, if anyone wants to serve me, follow me. How must we follow him? By serving. Then you'll be where I am, ready to serve at a moment's notice. You might say to me, but Pastor John, I've tried this serving thing, and people really abuse it. You know, I feel many times when I serve, I don't feel like people are appreciative of what I do. People don't reward me. They don't thank me. Often they just take me for granted. And especially in church life, where there's big churches sometimes, or there's big organization focus driven churches that need to have excellent standards, and they demand so many different things. I'm there to serve, but it's all you must do this, you must do that. You're driven to do that. You got to be this. You got to be this. You got to say. You got to do all this demand for excellence, and so oftentimes people feel burnt out because they've come out of a willing heart to serve, but then they find that the environment isn't there to make them feel happy in their serving. So I want to tell you this. Maybe the environment is not a very healthy environment. But whatever environment you find yourself in, if you have the attitude that says, I'm leaving the service of that environment because I'm unhappy, it might be that the very environment that you're in is designed for your death. Not the death of your physical body, but the death of your soul. That self-nature that says, I want you to serve me. And I want to be appreciated, and I want to be respected, and I want to be promoted, and I want to... Well, maybe that's the whole reason why the environment is challenging you, because I want. Whereas Jesus says, if you follow me, you'll be ready to serve at a moment's notice, whether you're appreciated or not, whether you're respected or not, whether you're honored or not, because that's not where you want the respect and the honor and the reward to come from. You want it to come from the Father. Who cares if man gives it to you when God's giving it to you? And if you have that attitude that says, I'm ready to serve at a moment's notice, you will find that God will promote you and reward you and honor you in the moment, in the least expected times and environments. I'm out of time today. Thank you. Bless you. Have a wonderful, glorious serving day today.